In the meantime, Bambi, given all of your background both in academia and certainly in your professional career, from your perspective as we go forward into 2025, how might the new FDA initiatives affect cell and gene therapy approvals this year?
Well, if Bambi's not ready, I can jump in again if you'd like. There, she's there. Okay.
Okay.
As Kim was saying, I think that one of the things is that as we look at these initiatives, I think the FDA is really signaling that they're here to dialogue with sponsors and to try and get products to approval. And I think that they're signaling that they're aware that the technology that we're working with allows for a lot of different alternatives. One of the things that Kim was talking about with platforms that is very exciting for a lot of people is the discussion of platforms when we talk about gene editing and we talk about rare diseases and how that could possibly really catapult that field forward. And so I think that the FDA has implemented a lot of different things to try and say we're here to try and push things forward and to get more things approved. And I think that key to that is the pre-IND or interact meetings that they now have with sponsors, the significant increase in the number of guidance documents that they're creating and generating, and the cross-reference between the different guidance documents that are out there. And again, just being there to show what's been approved and what's been disapproved. And I think that the more we see the successes and the failures, the more we all realize what will or won't be acceptable as we move forward. This, again, circling back to this issue of potency, it comes up so frequently in discussion of cell and gene therapy products where clinical efficacy and potency don't necessarily always correlate, that I think that this is something that's a real topic for developers as they try to push forward. And I think the FDA has really been out there to say, we're trying to help you here. We're trying to help you make the right decisions.
Certainly. And Kim, from your perspective, and certainly building on what Bambi has just shared, how might the new FDA initiatives affect us in the space going forward this year?
Okay, we'll have multiple different topics about this I could bring up. One, I think, expanding on what Bambi said, there's definitely been signs of improvement of communications with OTP being, given additional positions and really making progress in filling those. So the workload can be spread among more reviewers and supervisors. So we've seen that result in, it appears to be there's a higher success rate in having meetings granted at all phases, not as obviously the early interactions, pre-INDs are important. And those meetings also, back in pandemic times and when staffing was short, a lot of meetings were converted to written response only, and there was industry definitely did not appreciate that and felt they needed to have direct communication. So we've heard from the office director, super office director, that they are not automatically converting things to written response only. So the ability to have, for across the board of additional interactions is great. Then there are initiatives that are giving specific intense advice to a select group, such as the START pilot, which was an initiative for unmet medical products for unmet medical need for rare disease, and really limited to very severe disease that leads to significant disability or death. CBER chose to limit it to pediatrics, so in the first decade of life. So this is a very small pilot because it's sort of an unfunded, a volunteer pilot that CBER and CDER set up. So it's not something funded through PDUFA. So 4 products were selected by CBER. And so the idea is that they will be given more frequent communications beyond the typical PDUFA type end of phase type meetings, both formal meetings and informal, more direct communication with the reviewers. So that's really just started in the past 6 or so months. So we don't know yet what the outcome will be, but CBER's hoping if they can prove success, that there's a more rapid pace of development for these 4 pilot products, that maybe this will be something that would be incorporated in the next round of PDUFA. But some of the overall larger initiatives, I'd say, again, go back to focus on rare disease and accelerated approval. There was the announcement of the Rare Disease Innovation Hub this fall. that's trying to formalize the communications between CDER and CBER, especially for rare disease, so that there's cross-disciplinary approach of making sure there's communication between reviewers in both centers, that use of endpoints for the same disease, but obviously different types of products between the two product centers. So really where there can be, draw from knowledge from both centers for these, very rare diseases. And I think there, various things are standing up about trying, they're going to have, joint webinars, workshops, other things like that to really bring in stakeholder perspectives, patient perspectives, and factor that into the review and the criteria for approval. And there's also a lot of very big topics is accelerated approval. There were 2 guidances published in the past couple of months. Accelerated approval for serious conditions, and also a guidance on determining when a confirmatory trial that provides the confirmatory evidence to convert an accelerated approval to a traditional approval, to determining whether a confirmatory trial is underway. And CBER has also put on their guidance agenda wanting to publish a guidance that focuses on accelerated approval for gene therapy for rare disease. So there's a really hot topic, and maybe I should pause now and maybe return to some details about accelerated approval later. I feel like I've been talking for too many minutes here.
Yeah, sure.